going? What up, NerdCage Nation? I hope you guys enjoyed my top 10 games list. Now it's time for my top 10 movies list. And just like my games list, I didn't want to have 10 snobby, overly artistic dramas, because you know me, I got my film snob action. Don't worry, I'll have a lot of that on the list, but I wanted to make sure I added favorite animated, favorite comedy, and my favorite action movies of all time. You'll see a theme with my list. But anyway, let's get into it. Boom, number 10, Spirited Away. I love this film. I think it was recommended to me either by a channel or a friend. I'm not sure, but I was like, that art style looks very interesting. I want to go check it out. And man, and it has a great story behind it. And it has awesome characters. All these cool characters. This awesome dragon, this spirit, and the little girl has to navigate her way back home. It's kind of like, the tale that we've seen before, similar to Alice in Wonderland, but again with these awesome twists and great style. I love these Studio Ghibli films. This is my favorite one, and whenever there's a what's your favorite animated movie list, I put this over The Lion King. I put this over all these other films because I love Spirited Away. What's your favorite animated film? Tell me in the chat. My number 9 is Idiocracy. Oh man, what a crime and a travesty that Idiocracy wasn't released in theaters. I remember renting this movie and thinking like, oh, that premise looks really interesting. To me, it's a comedy. Most of you guys are like, that's more of a documentary. Right? Like, but no, it's a comedy. It's so silly. It's like, oh, Terry Crews is the president? Oh, like everybody else in the world is really, really dumb? Oh, we're running out of food and supplies? That's so ridiculous. No, Idiocracy, and here's another theme that you're going to see with me, especially for this movie. When I can quote a movie with 5 quotes right off the top of the dome, this is when it's one of my favorite films. Welcome to Costco. I love you. Go away, Baton. Brought to you by Carl's Jr. Because it's a good way to make money. If you so smart, how come you don't know that? Okay, this particular individual is not the unfit mother. Yo, why come you don't have a tattoo, Scro? Mike Judge, you're ahead of your time because you made this in 05 and what we've become now. A good representation. If you want to see a movie where Luke Wilson is the smartest person in the world, definitely check out Idiocracy. Oh, and if you've seen it and you're a fan like me, what are some of your favorite Idiocracy quotes? Number 8. Oh, time to lay the hammer down. Oh, The Raid 2, aka The Raid Redemption. Oh, I love The Raid Redemption. It's not one of the best. It's the best action movie I've ever seen in my life. The stunning martial arts, the awesome, even the story, man. The story is good, super solid, similar to the Departed. But these fight scenes and the choreography, and Iko Uwais is, to me, keep it going, man. Keep it going, man. This is our iteration. This is the next generation of the Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee. This dude, Iko Uwais, is awesome. And also for me, it's very nostalgic. I actually was lucky enough to see The Raid Redemption in a theater 2014. Before my daughter was born, my daughter's mother, she took me out for my birthday. Yeah, it was great seeing it with her. She when it was over, I stood up, I clapped when Rama was like, no more, and she was like, yeah, I kind of hated it. It was too bloody. It was too bloody and too brutal, and I couldn't read the subtitles. I'm like, oh no. Yeah, I love The Raid Redemption. It's so great that I believe John Wick was inspired by it, and you see John Wick 3, all the characters from The Raid are there in that final battle, so it's a testament to how awesome it truly is. Number 7, The Neon Demon. Most of you guys have a tradition and you guys watch like Home Alone every Christmas, or you watch Halloween every Halloween. For me, my tradition is every 4th of July, I watch The Neon Demon. And the reason for that is because I remember very vividly 2016, 4th of July, at 11 p.m. I went to a theater to watch The Neon Demon all by myself. It was one of the best, if not the best, theater experiences I've ever had. And as far as the movie goes, it's one of the most stunning, most beautiful looking films I've ever seen. And it's becoming like a little bit of a cult classic. A lot more people are becoming familiar with The Neon Demon. Elle Fanning, it brought us the great Elle Fanning. This is where the film snob in me comes in, because a lot of people are like, oh yeah, the story is just very simple. Yeah, but the visuals are extremely stunning. And yes, the story might be simple, but there's subtle little details in there. And this is kind of like a perfect example of a film that gets me to love the craft of cinema. Honestly, NWR, Nicholas Winding Refn, very, very awesome visual filmmaker, and he understands how... This is going to sound really stupid too. It's a little thing, but when we go from day to evening to night to the next day to evening to night, it gives me like the correct feeling of how time should go, and it makes the pacing a whole lot better, like I'm going on a journey over the course of a couple of days with Elle Fanning's character. And I think, honestly, Christopher Nolan should take lessons on this, because the way he has things go from day and that's nighttime, that's daytime, and it's like, you know, the little details, the little tiny details, this movie made me appreciate those. Number 6. I'm funny? Funny how? Am I a clown to you? Dude, Goodfellas. My favorite mafia film. I like The Godfather. Love The Godfather Part 2. Like Scarface. Other mafia films, nothing comes close to Goodfellas for me. It's a travesty that it wasn't Best Picture. Honestly, it is visually stunning. Obviously, there's the long takes and the amazing shots that Martin Scorsese, and I had to put one on here, it would be this one. Really, I should have Goodfellas higher, but the other 5 are just, I can't, you know, I can't go over the other 5. Doesn't even need to be said. You know what I mean? The best acting. Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro, come on, Ray Liotta, rest in peace. Scorsese's best, in my opinion, I think. What's your favorite Scorsese film? Put that in the comments, too, in the chat. Number 5. Oh, yeah, we're in my top 5 now, baby. We're in my top 5 favorites. And one of them is, speaking of great film directors, gotta have 2001, A Space Odyssey, Stanley Kubrick, in my opinion, greatest film. Do I like Eyes Wide Shut more? Do I like The Shining more? Not necessarily, no. I really love this journey that we're on, this space adventure that is shot so beautifully. I was talking about this with a bunch of people. We were just talking about, and Wes from Real Talk, we were talking about it too, how Kubrick made this film in 1967. It looks so good that people think that the moon landing is damn fake, because they think that Kubrick directed the actual moon landing, which, you know, whatever, I'm not even going to get into that. Yeah, for its time and for what he did, it looks stunning, but then there's the story, and a lot of people will have Alien on their top 10 lists, and because the vacuum, the cold vacuum of space and what it's like to be alone out there. Also AI, there's so many good themes in this movie. It's worth the watch. I know it's a little bit of, of an investment. There's a lot of time. It's worth the investment to see such great filmmaking at that level for its time, and it still holds up to me today. Obviously the acting and all that stuff, great stuff. And the ending, what does the ending mean? What does the ending of 2001 mean to you? Because we all have different... You want to talk about a great ambiguous ending, put that in the chat. What does 2001 A Space Odyssey mean to you? My number 4. I'm sad. I actually can't tell you my number 4. I actually can't talk about my number 4. Because you're not supposed to talk about Fight Club. I love Fight Club. I've seen it possibly over 100 times. And you want to talk about quotes. This is what I was saying before. My spirit animal is Marla Singer. In Project Mayhem, we have no names. His name is Robert Paulson. His name is Robert Paulson. If this is your first night at Fight Club, you have to fight. No, honestly, Fight Club... And this is where you'll kind of start to notice the theme of, a little toxic masculinity in there. I'd actually watched an interview with Chuck Palahniuk. I was talking about how, for men, Fight Club is it's kind of like our Secrets of the Yaya Sisterhood or whatever. It's kind of like our Joy Luck Club. It's like the theme for masculinity. And honestly, like, there's so many subtle themes before I even get into like how awesome this movie is and why I quote it all the time, why I remember scenes all the time that are very, very specific to my life. There's themes of like castration, obviously, is a big theme. Obviously Robert Paulson, he's in there for testicular cancer, and you gotta get your balls, all those little things where it's like at the end of masculinity. Then there's obviously the things with the government, and people have talked to me about Fight Club like, oh yeah, I liked Fight Club when I was 20, but I'm older and I'm smarter now. No, you just don't get it. What it is, yes, there is a contradiction. I don't want to spoil too much, but I'm not even going to talk about the twist. There's a twist in it, whatever. You will know it. A lot of people think that it contradicts itself, and it does. Like, that's the point, is that you'll notice, like, once we become, we're free from society, and you realize that you go back into the system, but in kind of a different way. That's all I'll say about it, because I don't want to get too involved. If you haven't seen Fight Club, you need to, so there's that. And we're seeing that in other shows too, where it's like, oh yeah, we're free from the oppressed, and then you realize there's just more oppression because it's human nature. And to me, that's what Fight Club represents. It's like, yes, the credit business stuff and the other things that are involved in it, it's an amazing movie to look at. I quote it all the time. Brad Pitt, Edward Norton, come on, man, those are your leads. How can you do any wrong? Number 3. Oh my god. The subtle off-white thickness of it. It even has a watermark. American Psycho. Oh, I love American Psycho. I've probably seen it like 500 times. I love it. And yes, there is a pattern. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. My number 3 and my number 4 both have Jared Leto. Okay, hey, listen, man. He just so happened to be in my top 5 twice. And he plays very important but small roles. I don't hate the man, dude. I don't hate the man. I like Jared Leto. All right, whatever. Enough of that. To me, you don't get The Dark Knight. You don't get Christian Bale as Batman. You don't get Christian Bale in The Prestige. You don't get Christian Bale in anything that you love without this movie. I know he was in movies before this, but this was his stepping stone up. And the director really had to push for Christian Bale. They wanted somebody else. And his statement about Leo, yeah, it's the truth. Like, they didn't really want Christian Bale, and I'm so happy. Like, everything and the stars aligned, because without him in this role, I couldn't even imagine it any other way. And yes, we're continuing the toxic masculine theme, parody almost of horror slasher in the 80s, ambiguity left and right. I actually have the book. I don't feel like going to get it. I should have got it before I even started this, but I do have the book. And I love American Psycho. I do quote it a lot too. T-Boone Pickens just walked in. I gotta leave. Have more than one Whitney Houston album? Like, I could just keep going on and on and on. You're a fucking ugly bitch. I want to stab you to death and play around with your blood. Like, it's embedded in my mind. And I've watched this movie so many times, but this is a movie with everything. Like, you got comedy. Christian Bale is like funny in this as a psychopath who talks about murdering people, and you have your horror element, you have your dramatic element, you have crazy monologues, especially the last one where Christian Bale does his like confession. That to me, like, that's why you're seeing him, and that's why he's become one of the best actors of all time. Fight with me about it. I know some of you don't like him, but it's okay. Fight with me. And Jared Leto, same thing. Yeah, time for my number 2. Ooh. Number 2. And it is true. I feel like I liked Andy Dufresne the moment I saw him. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's how I feel. The Shawshank Redemption, starring Morgan Freeman, Tim Robbins, Bob Gunton, Clancy Brown. So many great characters. Such a great story. And actually, it's kind of funny. It's like the opposite of American Psycho. Like, Andy Dufresne's demeanor and with what he's going through, yes, he's going through one of the worst possible things a human being can go through. and it's so unfair, but he runs with it and he rides with it, and it's so inspiring to see. It's kind of, like I said, he's like the opposite of Patrick Bateman, a guy who has everything and complains and can't deal with life, versus a guy who has nothing and is almost stripped of his humanity and his freedom and deals with it in the best way possible. And it's an amazing story, awesome ending, one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life, if not the best, and I'll talk about that when I talk about my number one. That being said, I have to mention Morgan Freeman, because if I don't, I'll get crucified. I know, I have to mention Morgan Freeman. Hey, Morgan, listen, man, where you been, dude? Ben-Hur, Wanted, Lucy, where have you been the last 10 years, man? Give me one more great performance. One more, baby. Let go, baby. Come on, man. No, seriously, Morgan Freeman in this, it's iconic. His role in this, and obviously in general, we know his voice to be, he can narrate anything and it will be interesting. The way he narrates the story and plays the character Red, it sets the tone and amplifies how good this movie is to the nth degree. Their chemistry, Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman, are unbelievable. The movie is perfect. I think the movie is perfect. Yep, I really do. I think if you can find a flaw or something you don't like about The Shawshank Redemption, and again, I don't want to spoil anything. If you haven't seen it, you owe it to yourself to watch the movie. Here it is, my number one movie of all time. Before I give it, I have to apologize to you, Jay. You got to move over a little bit. I'm sorry. Anybody that knows me, though, knows how much I've advocated for this film, how much I have made a point for it, how much I talk about it, how many times I've seen it, how many times I can quote it. Pulp Fiction is my number one movie of all time, and yes, here's the deal. I do think The Shawshank Redemption is a better movie. That being said, it's not my favorite movie. I would rather watch Pulp Fiction than watch The Shawshank. I watch The Shawshank Redemption a lot too. Don't get me wrong. It's feel bad, feel good. I just feel like the pacing of Pulp Fiction is for me more so. Besides that, though, what can I say, right? One of the best films, my favorite Tarantino film, my favorite film, very clearly, speaks the cinematic language, does things, especially at the time, that no other films did. Yes, there were a lot of, people in cool jackets and got the glasses and awesome, got the afro, you got the music, awesome dialogue. All that came from Pulp Fiction. Before that, there's a lot of movies that tried to replicate that, especially with the structure, which again, if you haven't seen Pulp Fiction, I don't know who you are. I don't know who you are, what person you are in my life. But you need to watch it, and you owe it to yourself to watch it, because yes, I don't want to spoil anything, but structurally, this movie opened my eyes to certain things. I remember that first time I had heard, Garçon, coffee. My brain exploded. And if you're seeing that for the first time, you'll know what I'm talking about when you watch the movie. Don't even think about what I just said. Just watch the film. Go in blind and watch it. And there's so many other things and so many other iconic moments. And the Fox Force 5 joke, the katana, Royale with cheese, all that stuff, right? It's all very crucial, and there's all subtle little things. You know what? When you watch it, if you haven't seen it, maybe we can have a spoiler discussion with me, Jay, everybody else, and how we feel, because I have a lot of theories about Pulp Fiction. I have a lot of down the rabbit holes about it. I've, like I said, talked about certain characters, what they go through, and certain repetitive themes, and yet it seems like some things aren't connected, even though it is, but they really are, and they're all really important, and so many things packed into this story. That's why I give it the edge a little bit over The Shawshank Redemption, because I feel like we're going more so on a journey, a little bit better pacing, and yeah, that final monologue by Samuel L. Jackson, I think I cry every time. I can't help it. I don't even want to talk about it. Yeah, one of the best performances. One of the best movies. Love it. What's your favorite Tarantino film? Tell me that in the comments. Love you guys. Keep checking my rapid reviews. Make sure you like. Make sure you subscribe. And let's go get that win, baby. Ah!